to another week of Arabia Ask You. Aren't you excited? Get excited. This episode is going to be very informative for you, especially if you're on your weight loss journey. Today, we are speaking with Dr. Lauren. She is talking about her wellness plan, how she lost 101 pounds. Yes, ma'am. Guys, stay tuned so you can be informed of how to lose the weight as well if you are struggling with weight loss. Stay tuned.
Play with her. When you put a mic in her hand, she'll make you say yes, ma'am.
Arabia asked us and we answered.
We have Dr. Lauren Keir, and she is from Lauren Keir Wellness. Can you give us a little bit of background on your overall story?
So my background began at about 2015 when I was driving down the interstate and I had what I now know to be a migraine. It was an intractable migraine. And I went to the ER and I said to them, I don't know what just happened, but I feel like a bolt of lightning hit the top of my head. And I'm not sure if I had a stroke or what. So I'm talking to the lady like this. It was a nurse. And she said, okay. She said, I don't think you had a stroke, but we're going to check you out. And I said, how do you know that? She said, because of the way that you're talking. She said, you're talking normal. Right. And I said, okay. So they took me to the back. My blood pressure was about 180 over 100. And they said, your blood pressure is really high, and so we got to get it down. So they never really focused on the headache. They said, we got to get the blood pressure down first. So they got the blood pressure down, and then they released me, and they said this might have been just a fluke or something like that. And so I went on about my business. About 2 weeks later, it happened again. So I went back to the ER, that same ER, and they said, listen, we think you have hypertension. And I said, no, I don't. And I said, nobody in my family does. And so they gave me these drugs that were out of control, like the way the doctor explained it to me. He said, like, we don't use this. He's like, these are like street level drugs that we've given you and so forth. I was a zombie. Okay. He said, you need to go to your you need to find a neurologist and so forth to, check this out and see what's happening with these headaches and so forth. So, never gave me a scan, told me that I had a TIA, which is a mini stroke in common terms, really. Gave me what do you call those? A drunk test instead of doing a scan on me. I'm like, how negligent is this doctor? So never did that. Just told me, he was like, you had a TIA and so forth. So I went to the neurologist. She says, no, you did not have one. She said, no. She said, your migraines are just that bad. And so my migraines were so bad that I couldn't talk. I would go numb. My whole body would go numb on the right side. And, I couldn't even function. I couldn't even think, when they would trigger. So that was just the beginning. That was just one of the symptoms that I was getting. It was that was just the start of a whole pattern of, different symptoms and so forth, of me trying to figure out what in the world was going on. Maybe it's 6 months to a year longer. She couldn't help. I found another doctor, another PCP, stuck with her for about a year. She couldn't help. In between, I had gone to I actually counted, because I'm in the process of writing a book. I actually counted, it was it was 11 specialists that I had gone to. A pulmonologist, allergist, gastroenterologist, you name it, anything that had an "ist" behind their name, I had gone to it, with the exception of the chiropractor that I had gone to. So, they were doing tests, along the way. I had a GI, the endoscopy, the colonoscopy. I had an allergy test done. all the while they were putting the pieces together, but nobody could really tell me. It was probably about 25 different drugs that they had given me trying to cure the symptoms instead of getting to the root cause of what was actually going on.
And so what was that?
So by the end of 3 years, as it took me 3 years, what we actually found out was that I had an autoimmune disease. And it's called Hashimoto's. So Hashimoto's is the antibodies for hypothyroidism. And you can't really determine it if you just take like your TSH levels. You can't really determine it. You have to take the underlying test. You have to go about and look at the underlying test, which doctors don't really give you because the insurance companies try not to pay for it. So it always goes back to money. They never want to, and if the patient is not advocating for themselves, then they don't know what to say to the doctor. And, essentially, I had to actually find a third PCP who actually figured it out. Because I found this one particular, not really found, I had gone to her, it would be 12 years prior. And I said, if anybody can figure this out, you can. At this point, I'd had a stack of medical records like this, in addition to emergency room visits. None of them could figure it out. I was dehydrated. My body had actually gone in adrenal fatigue. I was out 12 weeks on FMLA. I'd found out, and the root cause of it was sick building syndrome, which people don't know about.
And see, that's the thing. Like I always express to people when they say you need to go to the doctors for different things. And I'm not saying that some things we shouldn't go to the doctors for, but I do believe that when you go, they'll tell you it's nothing because they're not checking for what they should be checking for.
Well, the reason why they're doing that is because, and don't get me wrong, doctors are good. Traditional medicine, it works when it's working, and it works for what it works for, and they're very much so needed. However, what they were doing wasn't working for me because none of the doctors did that second layer of testing. So when you looked at my TSH levels, my thyroid was fine. It was perfectly fine, and it still is. If you took that second layer of test, is what happens when, that's when it came out that this is what's going on, with your thyroid. And nobody in my family had a history of it. See, a lot of autoimmune diseases are hereditary, and that one is. So no one in my family knew that they had it. So when I got it, they were like, so we don't have it. Well, I kicked up, some dirt, in my family. So now, everybody's trying to figure out like what's happening and so forth. But, it was both a blessing and a curse, because now, I shouldn't say a curse, I definitely live a clean lifestyle. Mm-hmm. And I had to go all the way over to the other side, as most people don't do, because when they find out they have an autoimmune disease, they're just like, oh yeah, I'm going to take these prescription drugs, and I'm going to keep it moving. I never had to take prescription drugs. I was able to heal my body with just lean and healthy eating and a clean lifestyle and so forth. Most people, they do not do that. Mm-hmm. They will pop the pills and they like, I'm gonna continue to eat this, and this, and they're in and out of the hospital and still feeling, they're having the attacks and they're still, feeling funky, and their body is actually being internally destroyed because they're not addressing the root cause of whatever in the world happened.
So what's your typical diet or your typical lifestyle in terms of eating?
So I do have a lean life. I do have lean eating habits. I do eat halal. I have a lot of fatty oils and so forth that I cook with. No plastics. Like glass and no microwaves. Yeah, it's very,
no microwaves? Why not?
No microwaves. That radiation is cancer causing. It's absolutely cancer causing. I don't touch it, don't have a microwave in my house at all. If it's not cooked on top of the stove or in the stove, I don't bother with it. I'll eat it cold. I don't touch it at all. And that is the one thing that a lot of, especially women are not paying attention of. You're having women that are at a younger age and a higher rate that are coming up with cancers. Why? It's lifestyle. It's definitely lifestyle. And people don't want to. Behavior is a very hard thing to change.
Yeah.
It's a very hard thing to change. But when you had migraines like I did, I couldn't even think straight. I couldn't even, don't even talk to me. If I would open up the door and the sunlight would hit me, I was like a vampire. I was like, close the door. So, when you get that and you can't even sit up, you can't think, you're like, what? Wait a minute, what? What's going on? That's a lot of hormonal changes and so forth that are happening. And so, with autoimmune diseases, you really have to take them into remission like cancer. And people don't tell you that. The traditional doctors don't know how to tell you how to eat. All they say is, your body is inflamed. Yes, but what's the next steps? And like I said, and they're really good, they don't know how to tell you to get to that next step. How to do that.
So what would you suggest for people, let's say who are using government assistance in terms of insurance? How would you tell them to figure that out in terms of with the doctor?
Well, some of the things that they can do is question their doctors about, try to do a little research, for yourself to try to figure out, is it this, is it my thyroid, is it my gut, is it my eating, check on the history of your family as much as you can, because some people are so hush hush, they don't want to talk about, what's going on in the family or what have you, even with healthy stuff. Do a little research and do a whole lot of research, because I would take stuff to my doctors and go, look, I know this and this has a connection. What's happening? I need you to test for this and this and this. And I had my GI doctor was like, where did you go to school? I said, what does that? I said, I went the same place you went. So he just fell back in his chair and started laughing. I said, but that's not even the point. Right. I'm trying to get to what in God's green earth is going on.
Okay, and so you lost
101
pounds.
Yes.
Yes. So being when you lost the weight, what was your biggest? Did you have any fears when you were bigger? In terms of before the migraines and different things, did you have any insecurities about your weight, or were you comfortable?
I was not comfortable with the 219 pounds because traditionally I was smaller. So I would always generally hover around a size 8 or a 10. I was probably a size 6 maybe in elementary school, but then when I hit high school I was an 8, and so I would it was kind of strange, but not really, because I grew up in the South, so weight is real comfortable, and Americans are real comfortable with heavy weight anyway, so I was good. But once my weight started increasing, I was like, something's wrong. Something's clearly wrong. And when you have people around you going, oh, stop researching, stop looking for it, you're going to find a problem. Yeah, that's what I want to find out, what's going on. And so when people see me now, they're like, I really don't remember you being that big. Yes, you do. You do. You lying. Yeah, you lying. Because people want to see you doing well, but they don't want to see you doing better than them. Okay. Yes, it is. Yeah, people don't want to see you doing better than them. So they looking now. When I lost the weight, they were like, "Are you okay?" I'm looking at them like, "Are you okay?" Because you look like you need my services right now. You know what I mean? So when they say that to me, because they would go, "Oh, girl, how you doing?" Get away from me. No, get away from me. Because see, right. Yeah.
So do you have, being as though you've lost the weight, you have this lean lifestyle, yes, is there anything you kind of wish you had that you still could eat?
God, it's a whole bunch. I do this. I tell people, I'm very honest with people. Listen, I love Popeye's chicken. If I could get me some Popeye's chicken, honey, I would grovel it down every day, all day long.
So I'm guessing you didn't eat the sandwich.
No, I did not. I did not. I cannot. I will be laid out in the hospital somewhere if I eat any of that stuff ever again. I can't eat out in restaurants at all. Yeah, I cannot eat out. You see that little sign in the bathroom that says employees must wash their hands before they return? Yeah, some folk don't wash their hands. And so one of the things that was causing me to hold on to the Hashimoto's for so long was that I was, like most people, I had gotten into my lifestyle, and honey, I was eating out all the time because I just didn't feel like cooking. So I had gotten a bacteria in my gut called H. pylori, which a lot of people do not know that they are carrying around. H. pylori, or as Helicobacter, oh my goodness, can't remember the full name, forgive me. It's H. pylori for short, but a lot of people are walking around with that and don't know what on God's green earth it is. So H. pylori actually is the bacteria that causes ulcers. It's not stress directly. Stress related, but it's not stress directly. That is what is actually causing it, and it eats away at the lining of your gut. So you walking around with that thing, and you can be walking around with it forever and not know. It happened to a friend of mine, and he passed out at work. Yes, passed out at work, and it's very difficult to get rid of. My doctor could not. It was detected when I had an endoscopy. I could not cure it the traditional way that they do it with those packs of antibiotics. So I had to go the natural way. It was actually preventing my autoimmune disease from going into remission. That's how strong that puppy was. And it was detected like the year before I had the, the endoscopy and the colonoscopy. It was detected the year before, but they couldn't figure it out. So they gave me like this generalized antibiotic, which could not get rid of it. Yeah. So it was, on and on and on. Now imagine I'm still working full time while all this craziness is going on. And, I'm like looking at people real crazy and stuff, and they looking at me, my face all twisted like I had a stroke. It was a mess. It was a whole mess. But, such is life. We go on.
So with the weight, in terms of losing it, did you exercise or was it just healthy eating?
It was just healthy eating. I did not have energy or anything to perform any exercise. I'm talking about yoga, strength training, weightlifting, none of those things. I had no energy whomsoever. I was just dragging my wagon the whole entire 2.5-3 years. So there was no way that I could do it. I actually had to wait until I had actually gone through the process to begin working out.
And so you didn't get any surgeries or anything like that?
No surgeries. And I was actually asked, did I want to have surgery? Like, is anything bothering me? So you would think with 101 pounds that I would have like skin drooping and dragging and so forth. Actually, I did strength training afterwards. So I did a lot of resistance training. I did weightlifting and all that kind of stuff. And it's still a journey. My body is not perfect by any means.
You look great.
Thank you. I do squeeze in a 2-piece.
And so do I.
I love it. And I squeezed in one before. But, so I understand. But yeah, I had to wait until afterwards. But I tell people, if you do have the energy, get up and move. Even if it's 30 minutes a day, just walk.
Right.
Just walk. So I do a lot of walking. I do yoga. I perform yoga. I love my yoga. The strength training, I still kind of dip and dabble in and out of it because of the joint pain. So most people that have autoimmune diseases, they have a lot of joint pain. And I do still have some of those characteristics. So I sparingly do the weight training and so forth. So I have to be gentle on my body. But yeah, most definitely I encourage people to work out. It's very good for your heart.
So what better eating tips would you suggest if people were on the go? Because I know you said not to eat out, or you don't eat out, but is there any tips, let's say for people if they were to eat out, or if they're constantly on the go, can't really cook, what would you suggest?
I would suggest for them to do prep cooking ahead of time. Prep cook and take your food with you as much as you can. Just prep cook. So you have to prepare your meals for, the week. And some people are so much on the go that it's very difficult for them to even do that.
Right.
So you have to find places that could, with healthier options, wherever that might be. And so that's essentially what, they can do, for starters. For me, that's my lifestyle. So it's embedded in what it is that I do. So for instance, today I'll be prep cooking all through, for the entire week. And then, so I know in my head what it is that I'm going to, what I'm going to prepare. And then oftentimes I have to do like a second prep in the middle of the week, because I take my lunch with me wherever I go. Even when I travel and people are looking at me like, you can't eat where you go. No, I cannot rely on folks to have what I need when I get where I'm going. So I take it, I take all of my proteins, I'll say, I take them with me. And so I have a particular grocery store, and they know, look, this is what I need. I'm traveling, and I need you to put my stuff to the side so that I can come in and get it. Or look, I'm traveling, I'm going for this amount of time, and this is what I need. So
wait, so when you say that, are you saying you go to the grocery stores here or the grocery stores there?
Here. So it depends on where I'm going. I can, if they don't have it where I need to get it where I'm going, I'll take it with me. If, in my luggage. If I'm going to a place that actually has it, then I don't really have that kind of anxiety. I don't really have to concern myself with it. But like for greens, veggies and stuff like that, and fruits and so forth, I can generally find that.
Right.
If they don't have like the stuff that they're cooking or the stuff that they're growing like in-house, is I don't want to talk about that. That's unhealthy. But if I'm going to a place that doesn't have it, then I have to take all of my proteins with me. I travel with them.
So when you're traveling, are you getting places that have ovens and, I guess, stoves?
Oh, God, yeah. If I stay in a hotel, it has to have a kitchen. And it has to have, I cannot cook with, what do you call it? Those pots that have plastics and all that kind of stuff on there, plastic utensils and all that stuff. Yeah, I can't have that. I have like small pots that I take with me when I travel in my luggage. Yeah, I have one bag that has all my cooking stuff with me, and then I have one bag that has like my clothes. So yeah, if I'm going somewhere for a weekend or something like that, there's a potential that I could probably have 3 bags.
And so what about international traveling?
I don't. I'll go places that have the food that I can eat.
So you got invited to a trip to Belize or London. You're not going to go because of food?
Different places. So Europe does not have the same type of food that we have. So that's a different story. Even when you're on the airplane, when you're on your flights, they actually do have clean eating. Unlike we have here, which has different, in America, which has different ingredients and so forth that are in and additives and all preservatives and so forth that are in the foods. So it's very different. It just depends on where it is. It just depends. Yeah. But if I have to, I'll take my food with me. Yeah. It's when I tell you it's nothing to play with, and people make a decision for what they need to make a decision for. But for me, I will tell people I'm not totally clean. I just choose to be that way with my food, because there are other things that I decide, okay, because we're exposed to toxins. When you get up in the morning, you're exposed to toxins. All of your hygiene products, many of them are toxic. Your makeup, your skincare, many of those are toxic. So I just choose what it is. I choose my poison is what I do. My food is not going to be my poison. Yeah.
So I guess my last question was, what is oxidative stress?
Oxidative stress, the things we're exposed to on a daily basis. what is it we're exposed to? So you have your air, you have all of those things that we're exposed to, the things that we're breathing in. So we want to reduce all of those things that we're being exposed to. As I was sharing with you, the one thing that basically took me out was the sick building syndrome. Yeah, it was black mold. So if you look up in your vents, any building that you're in, you'll see some that have like fur coming up out of it. Yeah, that stuff a lot of people don't know. That's affecting you. So when you see people walking around with, their allergies and so forth, seasonal allergies, they don't realize the stuff that they're being exposed to even as soon as you walk out the door. Even before you walk out the door, that stuff is making people sick. And they're not realizing it. So what they're doing is, okay, I got to go to the doctor. No, look around your environment first. Look around there and see what's happening. You're inhaling stuff that's not even, that's not, it's making you sick, essentially.
So do you have anything new that's coming out? I know you said you have the book, but anything else?
I'm working on my book, and I have several other projects too that I'm working on that I'm not going to let that cat out of the bag yet. But I do have my book that's coming out, and I'm working on that. I'm not sure when the launch is going to be yet, so I can't give you a date, but it will definitely be huge.
Can you give us a little bit about the book, what it's going to be about?
So the book is actually talking about my journey to wellness. All of the things. I gave you like a snippet of what happened here, but my journey of all the things that, that happened, a lot of what I went through, a lot of, the way that people treated me, good and bad, because that affects the way that you heal. And the way that your body heals, the environments that you're in and so forth, in the home, in the workplace, and all of these things, the processes that we go through, because some people don't understand that they actually do have rights. When I would I'll just give you an example, when I would tell people, if I would say, I have a migraine, I can't come into work today. Well, when are you coming in? That kind of thing. Are you kidding me right now? Are you kidding me? When I went back to work off of from FMLA, the first thing my doctor wanted to know was, she said, how did they treat you? She said, did they ask you how you were doing? I said, no, they didn't. She said, I'm going to pull you right back out. Yes, that is stress related. And that is a form of bullying. Yeah, when they don't ask you, how you, are you okay? Can I help you with anything? Not that they can, because some of them need more help than you do, but how are you doing? And they will, any doctor who is sane, sober, and sensitive will snatch you right back out, because they know, it's stress related. They throwing you right. It's like they're throwing you right back into the wolves. So.
Wow. That was informative, very informative. Can you tell our viewers how to find you, how to get in touch with you?
Yes. So all of my social media is Lauren Keir Wellness, LaurenKeirWellness. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Facebook. My Twitter is Lauren, LaurenK Wellness. Twitter wouldn't let me be great, so I couldn't get my full name in. My website is also www.laurenkeirwellness.com, and that will share everything with you about the online course that I am now offering to everyone, because I was able to become and train as a certified health coach as a result of all of this. So I am happy and working with individuals to help them heal their bodies as well.
Well, guys, please make sure you follow her. If you need any assistance, go to her website. And guys, just remember that you can find me at Arabia Acts You on all of your social media platforms, and that is all of them. So stay tuned, watch another episode, and come back next week for another episode. Thank you.